I'm Elle Mejia, a landlord, investor, and retail leasing professional. I've completed high-level transactions for retailers in markets across 5 continents. On my way to building a multi-million-dollar real estate business, I'm curating advice from women who are killing it across the globe and sharing those conversations with you. You can absolutely run your business, run your household, and run your life without running yourself into the ground. Welcome to This Girl Sells Real Estate. Hello, beautiful people. You are tuned into the This Girl Sells Real Estate podcast. I am your host, Elle Mejia, and this is a podcast where we feature conversations with phenomenal women in real estate. It's a podcast by PrettyGirlsWork and the Real Estate Collective, and we've had some great conversations over the last few weeks, conversations with women that I have known personally and professionally for years, and conversations with women who I was talking to for the first time on this podcast. So I'm in the really unique and I think the really fortunate situation to be learning alongside our listeners and viewers from these inspiring women as we have these conversations. So very, very grateful for that. Some housekeeping stuff to take care of before we get into this week's conversation. If you want the inside scoop on what conversations we have coming down the line for you, you can actually click into the PrettyGirlsWork website. That's prettygirlswork.com. Click on podcast and you'll see the lineup of conversations we have for you over the next few weeks. And if you are a phenomenal woman in real estate or know a phenomenal woman in real estate who should be featured here, then you can contact us via that page as well. So thank you again for joining us today. And we are going to get right into this next conversation. Today, we are actually speaking with Lledon Stokes. She is a Washington, D.C. area realtor, and as a U.S. Army Reserve vet with a pageantry background and a can-do attitude, she is a prominent agent on the D.C. real estate scene, driving unrivaled results for her clients. In what little spare time she has, she advocates for mental health with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. She serves as president of the National Business League, Inc. Washington, D.C. chapter. She is the first VP of the DMV Women's Council of NAREB, a nonprofit organization focusing on community grassroots. And we are so excited to speak to Lledon about how she does it all. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lledon. How are you?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So even reading that, I feel like you don't have time to do anything because you're doing
a lot, but I feel like idle hands are the devil's plaything. So, you know, we have to be productive. I like to do productive things. They make me happy. It doesn't feel like work. It feeds my spirit. So,
well, that's the key, right? When you're working at something that doesn't feel like work anymore, then you don't get the stress and the anxiety that comes with working in a situation that you're not happy with.
True.
But
sometimes. That would be a lie, but it's definitely stressful sometimes.
But I do want to talk to you about how you kind of ended up where you are, because I mean, your resume is impressive and the work that you're doing in DC is impressive, but you've kind of hit a lot of stops along the way that I'm sure you can tell us about how those have influenced your choices and influenced your career and probably kind of contribute to your success today as well. So what is your story? Just kind of let us know who you are and how you fell into the real estate game in DC.
Well, I'll give some highlights and some quick notes. So 30% grew up in Florida, in central and southern Florida. Actually, when I was 17 years old, I joined the Army Reserve, and I was stationed at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa at SITCOM and an intelligence unit. So with
wow.
that gives you a whole nother perspective on dealing with life. And I'm happy that I was able to do that at a young age of 17.
What made you make that big of a decision at 17?
I was forced into it, I would say. Circumstances of life forced me into that situation.
Okay.
I would definitely say that.
So then how did you end up in the real estate game?
To fast forward to real estate, so just like any other young lady in Florida, I worked in nightlife, I was doing spokesmodeling with Home Shopping Network. I was in college. I was also working as a home health aide. I had like 5 jobs like a typical Jamaican. And I want to say I was like 21. And my ex-boyfriend at the time, my first boyfriend, he bought a house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with him during that process, and he was like, he thought we were going to get married and stuff. And he was like, I'm not going to buy a house unless you like it. You have to like it. So I think it was like 19 when that happened. So I watched him go through the process, and through making all this great hustle money and fast-paced entertainment, hospitality life kind of money, I'm like, you know what? I need a career that is, one, going to evolve with me as I get older. And I've always had an interest in real estate through that experience with him. And I also worked at a luxury car dealership at that time as one of my college jobs. And it was a Rolls Royce Bentley conglomerate. And from going with him through the experience of him buying the house, and I saw people coming into the dealership buying Range Rovers cash, buying Aston Martins cash, McLaren and stuff. And I'm like, where's everybody getting this money from? You know, and a common denominator was real estate.
Yeah.
People own all kinds of different kinds of real estate. So I was like, hey, do you have any books that you could recommend? And that started kind of like my black hole of becoming obsessed. And I studied real estate for about 2 years before I actually committed to getting my first job.
Well, it just kind of seems like your personality is so naturally inclined to this type of business. So even when you say that you were working in the Rolls Royce dealership in college, you already know how to sell people some expensive pieces of merchandise. It kind of seems like it would be a natural transition for you. So what would you say was the biggest challenge in terms of kind of going from making that, like, because it's very different. You can make good money working on the night scene, but it's not as good as the money that you make in real estate. And the money that's in real estate is not as fast as the money that comes in that life. So what was the hardest part of that transition for you?
Honestly, because I'm used to, working in hospitality, that's pretty much a commission-based job anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so it's feast or famine. So you have to hustle, you have to move your feet. So that wasn't an issue for me mentally. I was prepared for that with real estate. I would say the largest thing, the obstacle for me to overcome was being young and looking young, and people not having the respect that you're capable to get these things done, or if you don't know what you're doing. So the way that I offset that was being educated. I became obsessed with books. I invested time, resources into myself. I took apprenticeship programs for investing. Every single place that I could get my hands into of interest in real estate, that's what I did, so that way I could learn. So
it's the smartest thing to do. It really is, especially so we have a very similar experience in that when I started out in the real estate game, I started out in industrial real estate. So it was all truck terminals and warehouses and middle-aged white men who wanted to know what this little black girl knew about their $6 million property. So really, education was the name of the game. It's how PrettyGirlsWork started. So this podcast is put on by PrettyGirlsWork, and PrettyGirlsWork started as me putting up a blog and trying to talk to women who had already done it or who were in the middle of doing it, just to kind of bounce advice and ideas and conversations off of people, because not everyone, it's not an advantage a lot of the time in this industry to look young and to be a Black woman and all of these other things that kind of come into play with it.
We have a lot of obstacles to overcome.
It is. But there's also a very specific personality type that decides right at the beginning that they're going to take on these obstacles and they're going to win. And it sounds like you're that personality type as well. And I wonder if your time with the U.S. Army Reserve had anything to do with that.
I think it's a collective of my personality. Although I'm a former beauty queen and a glamour girl, I am extremely militant. And I have an infatuation with war. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll identify the target and then I work backwards. And I'm like, I'm going to hit this target. No one's going to tell me no.
I love it. And do you also find that your targets are very different from the targets that people set for you?
I don't know what people set for me. I don't know what they set for me.
Do you have metrics that you have to meet within your brokerage? Or maybe I'm just talking from a private sector perspective, because I know whatever targets that I've been given for the year, that has nothing to do with what's going on in my head. The numbers there are in my head. And if I meet your metric and don't meet mine, it's still a problem.
No, now I'm tracking what you're saying. So in the beginning of this year, I joined an all-Black real estate team.
That's amazing. What's the name of that real estate team?
So it's called the Foreman Properties Group.
I love it.
And I am with a luxury brokerage called Compass. And we are the largest all-Black real estate team in I want to say the nation. I haven't seen anybody else that's as large as us, and we do numbers. you know.
How many agents do you have?
7.
Nice.
We have 7, and we have an assistant. And I would say my team lead, he gives me numbers, he gives me targets, but I don't even like his targets fall within inside of my own target.
Exactly.
I'm not a scientist. I'm like, okay.
What made you decide to join that team?
Pardon?
What made you decide to join that team? How long have you been with them?
I've been with them since January.
Okay.
So I'd say long-term goals. It was an alignment with my long-term goals. Also, alignment with my overall mission, which is with NAREB, which is the historically Black real estate organization.
Okay.
Finally, we were not allowed to join NAR, National Association of Realtors.
Oh, wow.
We were allowed to join that.
So this organization kind of existed because they were not able to join the NAR.
They birthed it because they want Black real estate professionals at that time were not allowed to join. So we created our own, and instead of being called realtors, we're called realtors. And they were established in my hometown at Tampa Bay, Florida in 1946. No, 1947.
You know your history.
You got to. You have to understand your history so that we know how to move for the future. My grandma used to tell me that history repeats itself.
Always.
And success leaves clues. So if we look and we know our historic data, we can align and pick out all the nuggets that we need so that we can move forward and be powerful.
And even when you say success leaves clues, I think it's so, and I know that you make a concerted effort to be involved. Like you talk about this grassroots organizations, but this isn't the only organization that you're a part of. And even agreeing to be on this podcast and just kind of sharing what your journey is, it is leaving those clues for success, whether it's clues in the form of these are all of the mistakes I made, or these are all the things that actually worked for me. Just being able to have that conversation and have other women that are coming up who are dealing with the same obstacles that you've had to deal with or who are about to, and knowing what you did to navigate them or what you should not have done to try to navigate them. I think that's a testament as well.
So I'm glad you spoke about the organization. So I am one of the youngest board members in both organizations that I'm affiliated with. And dealing with the Women's Council, I'm the first vice president in the Women's Council of NAREB. And I am surrounded by a tribe of older Black women in real estate who have been in the industry some 30 years plus.
Oh, geez. That's the luckiest place for you to be in?
It's amazing. Like getting their counsel has helped me expedite my process because I learned from different things that they've experienced just listening to them. They have 2 nicknames for me, Little Mama and Millennial Magic.
So I happen to be one of the youngest leasing managers on the for the organization that I work for as well. And I find the millennial tag so funny sometimes because there are certain aspects of being a millennial that you don't realize other people pick up on or you don't realize are an asset to your business, especially when you start talking about things like social media marketing and things that just come like water to us that you realize other people are taking courses on.
Well, for us, it was like the age of the MySpace and everything.
Exactly.
But now MySpace, when I was in high school, I was writing HTML codes, selling websites.
Yep. Oh, funny. I was on Black Planet trying to figure out HTML codes. How do I make this little gift rose flower?
It was serious. I had a whole little hustle with my MySpace layouts back in the day. And I was a big followers back then too. Didn't even know I had like 30,000 friends.
Right. See, but that's the thing. It's things that you don't even realize are assets in a monetization perspective, like things that you can monetize for your business and move forward in. So there's a lot that you learn from those women, but I'm sure that there's a lot of knowledge that you can impart as well.
I tell them all the time, I'm so grateful for their counsel, and I'm so happy that they can pour into me. And it's not just here in the DMV, like we have women's retreats, so I've been able to connect with Black real estate professionals across the nation. And it's phenomenal. And I love the history of our organization because we've done our goal, our focus is democracy in housing. So we've done a lot of advocacy historically with the likes of like Martin Luther King Jr. For redlining advocacy. Like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because I love it so much.
You know what? I'd actually love to have more of a conversation with you about a lot of those things offline because I know there's a lot of history but also a lot of history of activism that you have in your area that I think that we're just starting to tap into with some of the issues that we have with our housing, when you talk about the rental housing market, or some of the mortgage metrics that kind of exist to leave people out of certain neighborhoods, leave people out of certain income brackets, and tackling those is a serious endeavor, and not one that we necessarily have the roadmap for on our side. So being able to look to the South and kind of see what isn't working there, especially in the last couple of months with some of the conversations that have been happening, I'm sure that there's a lot of information that can be passed on both ends to make sure that everyone's moving in the right direction at the right speed.
Without a doubt, we all have to be in alignment in order to create the growth.
Exactly.
So, I definitely agree in that tribal aspect.
Now, you talk about the women that you're on this organization with. I want you to name names. I want to know some of the women that you kind of see as your mentors, or that have solidified a path for you, or imparted wisdom when you need it. Who do you go to for advice? Who do you go to for counsel? Who are some of your mentors within the real estate field?
So I would say pretty much every Madam President in our Texas chapter. The Dallas-Fort Worth chapter is lit. Okay, Texas are killing the game. They are pushing it. Even I love female realtors in Texas, even outside of the organization. Like they are doing it. And maybe that's because I am a hybrid Southern Belle / Caribbean living here in the North. I don't know. But
I don't know, because I love it too. I was speaking to Julia Wang, actually was featured on the podcast. Oh, she's fantastic. And her team is fantastic. I love her YouTube channel. I just think that when they say everything is bigger in Texas, I feel like that goes with the marketing and the social media and all of that as well. It's really great to watch.
It does. And then locally here in the DMV, my Madam President that created our DMV chapter is Stephanie Beberry. She is wonderful. She actually, I want to say she's on Good Morning DC. She has a real estate segment on the news.
Oh, nice.
She's been doing it for years, and she's been an agent in the area for the last 13 years. And her territory is in Loudoun County, predominantly. Like she services the entire DC metro, but majority of her business is in Northern Virginia. So she's phenomenal. I would say Sophia Thomas. She is our vice president. So I'm third in rank, first vice president. She's phenomenal. She's, of course, a Black lady with a title company. And she is absolutely amazing. She's been in the business for, I want to say, over 13 years as well. And then who else do I have? I have Carmelita. I love me some Carmelita. She's hysterical. But she's so empowering, and she's a former educator. And I think she's been in real estate about 8 years. But these women, we founded it over a year ago because we noticed that other chapters had a women's council. But how come Nation's Capital didn't have a women's council? Right. And our headquarters of NAREB is here in Washington, D.C. So we were like,
yeah, no, it kind of makes sense. But you know, it always starts with someone saying, you know what, this makes sense. And you guys did that, right?
Yeah, because Stephanie was formerly the vice president of our regional NAREB chapter. So she stepped down so that way she could create the Women's Council.
So what is the mandate of the Women's Council? What are some of the metrics that you hope to accomplish for yourselves or for other women that are in the industry?
We focus on fundraising. So we actually do give out scholarship funds for not only just for college, but people who want to obtain a skilled trade set, even if it was a real estate license. Mm-hmm. And we also focus on educating the public. We work a lot with local churches. Actually, I'm a member of Alfred Street Baptist Church, which is the oldest Black church in the nation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have a congregation of over 7,000 members.
Oh, wow.
We partner with a lot of the historic Black churches in the area. We do education and skilled trade set training on behalf of real estate professionals. Mm-hmm. So we have courses for like construction and development, if that was a course that you wanted to go down, a path that you wanted to go down, and just being a traditional real estate agent, just how to maintain your business and continuing education to provide those stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So now with women who are just starting out in the real estate business, or maybe just trying to figure out, because sometimes it can take a minute to try and figure out how to really start getting some traction and gaining success in the real estate business, what would be the best piece of advice that you could give to them as they move along their journey?
Well, one, I tell everyone in general, can you take a hit?
And get back up.
You got to be able to take a lick and get back up, because this industry, despite the glitz and the glamour, is not for the faint of heart by any means. So you have to be tough. You have to understand that, don't take it personal. Just get back up and keep into the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, I would say trust in yourself. One of the biggest gifts that we have is our intuition, a divine female intuition. So listen to your inner instincts the first time. You don't need to question it. Listen to your instincts. Mm-hmm. And I'm stressing that for every situation. The clients, other colleagues, everyone. In deals, listen to your gut.
And this is a type of business that is, and we talk about this sometimes with some of our other Pretty Girls Work programming, because getting over that mindset for women, it can be difficult sometimes, because we're being taught, especially as it relates to, or we have been taught, especially as it relates to business and money and finances and all of that sort of thing, that we shouldn't trust our intuition. Because we kind of went from a place where first women aren't allowed to work. There's no place for women in the workplace. And then all the men went to war, so all the women had to go to work. And then it became, you can be successful as a woman as long as you're kind of the best at imitating a man. So I remember when I started working in the corporate sphere, and it was a lot of books on wear your hair back, wear dark colors, speak in a lower tone of voice. And it was just kind of, you can be successful as a woman, as long as you downplay the fact that you're a woman.
So
sorry
to cut you off. I'm like, that piece right there, one, we weren't allowed in the workforce, but according to Forbes magazine 2018, what is the largest fast producing demographic of entrepreneurs?
Black women, actually.
Ooh.
Black women, exactly. And it's not getting success despite the fact that you're a woman. There are a lot of the stereotypes that people talk about women. It's really just a different title for what's actually successful in business. Oh, women talk too much. That's called networking. That's called sales.
Everything. We don't need to tap into our masculine energy.
No.
Feminine energy is actually a dominant energy. And I have been in male dominated spaces pretty much my whole life, my entire career, with everything, And I am extremely feminine, but they also know not to mess with me.
Well, that's exactly right. To me, you are the very embodiment of Pretty Girls Work, because it has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm bringing to the table. And I will dress in a head to toe pink outfit and still be able to out negotiate anybody in this room, because it has absolutely nothing to do with the skill set that I bring for my clients or the skill sets that I bring to my company. And I think that that's a narrative that's really, really changing. And I think that it has a lot to do with women like you and organizations like what you're a part of, that are showing women that you don't have to sacrifice one part of yourself to be able to attain that career and financial success that you desire as a woman, not as a couple, just as a woman by yourself. I want to buy this big ass house by myself.
Yes, gold.
No, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. What is your favorite part about what you're doing right now? Like, what's your favorite thing about being a phenomenal woman in real estate?
I appreciate that compliment, and I get teary-eyed when I think about it, because there's so many different things. And oh man, I love, like, especially coming from like being a first generation American and learning and experiencing all the things that I have so far, especially in the last like 5 years. I would have never thought that I was doing all these different things, being able to touch different kinds of people. One project that I'm really, really excited about, on behalf of the other organization I'm affiliated with, National Business League, we are connected with the African Union, and we are in talks of helping facilitate Diaspora Village in Ghana.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So in international real estate, so I was elected as a House delegate on behalf of real estate to, the African Union has purchased over 200 acres worth of land in Ghana, and they have plans to develop it so that way African Americans can buy houses in Ghana.
Oh, wow.
International real estate.
Wait, hold on. What about African Canadians?
The diaspora. Figured this out. They're welcoming everybody, because last year they had the year of the return, and the AU has an initiative called the After the Return. So we have a 10-year initiative to help bridge the gap between Africa and the diaspora. We're trying to connect to everybody to let you know, hey, because you have family here, like it's a good place. And international real estate, typically, you're not allowed to purchase a house in the country. You just have to do long-term leases. So this is an amazing opportunity that the African Union is developing. And I'm so happy to be a part of it on behalf of the National Business League, because the National Business League is the oldest Black business trade association, formerly known as the National Negro League, and we were founded by Booker T. Washington in 1900. And C.J. Walker was also affiliated with the National Business League. So it's a lot of things out there.
You know what? You're walking in some big footprints, but I mean, that's everybody, right? That's been throughout history. There's always had to be a group or a person or a group of persons that were kind of pushing towards that mandate. But no, that just sounds like some absolutely phenomenal work. Have you been to Ghana yet?
Not yet. So I think we're going to be able to do our trade mission in March.
Nice.
I'm still waiting to hear back for confirmation, with COVID and everything. Change. We're going to try to do it this year, but now I have talks with March. So I'm just waiting for final confirmation. But this is definitely out there. So I would say that's my most newest passion, I would say, our Africa initiative. But here locally in the States, I just love transforming people's lives and their discovery process of realizing what real estate really means to them and their family.
Right.
Like understanding the true wealth impact that it has on them. I can't say that there's not a client that I haven't tried at their settlement. I've tried at every client.
But it's a generational thing, right? It's being able to create opportunities beyond just these four walls that you're going to be living in, and it's creating opportunities that they'll be able to capitalize on for their kids and for their grandkids, and it's just something that has been so out of reach for so many people for so long. And I love the fact that in this age that everyone has access to the same information. So now it's about being able to get that information to people who have never been privy to that information. And even if you have to hold their hand, and even if the deals take a little longer and the conversations are a little longer, the impact that you make at the end of what would have just been a typical transaction, it's not a typical transaction anymore.
It changes people's lives. I love educating people in the sense of, you pay for a place to live every month. You have to. Why not pay for a place where you can use it as a tool? A tool to elevate the quality of your life.
Right.
And when I communicate it that way, they're like, oh. And they're like, I didn't think
exactly. Well, I always tell people that when we talk about renting versus owning, and I understand that there are barriers to being able to own your own home, but everybody's paying a mortgage. It's whether you're paying your mortgage or somebody else's mortgage, but you're paying a mortgage.
Exactly. So I want to pay them something that I can use this leverage, whether it be for medical bills, future children's college, a new car, who knows?
Exactly.
Renovate the house. Everyone, the kids is always concerned about schools. Your property taxes determine your local schools. Like, these are the things. You become a decision maker when you have an equitable interest in your socioeconomic development of your community.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Lledon, I absolutely love you. I think you're doing such great work. I can't wait to hear about a lot of the initiatives that you're a part of, and I know the initiatives that you're going to be a part of. I just see you doing absolutely amazing and big, beautiful things. How can people find you and get involved with you if they want to do business with you, or if they want to find out about some of these initiatives that you're working with these organizations? What's the best way to find you?
Social media. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I have a website, LledonStokes.com. I actually have been working on something because I want to be able to impact more people. I have created a home buying masterclass e-course.
Oh, wow.
That people are going to be, I'm going to launch it on my birthday next month, August 24th. So soon this week, if you go follow me on Instagram at Lledon Stokes, you can just pre-order, register for the class, and there will be discounts available for your home ownership journey.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lledon. And we'll put up all of her contact information for if you're tuned in on any platform that you're tuned into. If you look into the description for this episode, we'll make sure that we include all of her contact information and all of the initiatives that she's involved in as well. Thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation.
This was exciting.
And next time you're in Toronto, this conversation happened offline, but you've been to Toronto, and next time you're in Toronto, we're doing a caravana parade. And we're doing costumes. Yes,
I want to be a part of the tribe. I have to. I'm here for it. Let me know what kind of outfit I need to get.
We'll make it happen. Thank you so much, Love. It was so lovely talking to you today.
Thank you. It was an honor. I truly appreciate it.
And thank you to all of our listeners and viewers who are tuned in today. We are live on Spotify. We're live on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. You can also watch this episode on YouTube. Make sure whatever platform you're listening in on that you remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out our metrics in the long run and make it easier for us to do what we're doing. And remember to log on to the Pretty Girls Work website as well, prettygirlswork.com, so that you can see the archive of all of our old episodes as well as a listing of episodes that we have to come. Thank you so much for tuning into the Pretty Girls Work podcast. This girl sells real estate, and we'll see you next week with another episode with another phenomenal woman in real estate.